So let's talk about today a little bit. Just a little bit. So last Sunday we have a beautiful story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Jesus and the Samaritan woman. This Samaritan woman had no name, isn't it? There was no name of this woman. And we understood how the story ended. Today we have another beautiful story of a man born blind. Again, I tried to research what the name of this man is. There's still no name. So, but the story went just as we've heard, that Jesus was just walking along, just on his own. Just like you will walk along on the walkways. And Jesus saw this man born blind. Born blind. And Jesus healed him. Jesus healed him. Jesus made him to see again. The questions the disciple asked. Sorry, I read the shorter version of the gospel. If I had read the longer version, you would have had some details in the gospel. But just after Jesus healed the man, the disciple asked him the question, why was this man blind from birth? Is it on account of his own sin or the sin of his parents? And the reply that Jesus gave was stunning. Jesus said, it is neither the sins of his parents or his own sins, that God has made it so that he may prove a point. That he may prove a point. So today, reflecting with you on this passage, I want to take us back to the first reading. In the first reading, God said to Samuel, go to the house that I'm going to show you. There I will pick a king for myself. I will pick a king for myself. Long story short, Samuel picked up the jar of oil he had and went to the house where he found David and anointed David. And what is important in these two passages today, the first reading and the gospel, is how God was able to use ordinary things to do extraordinary work. Ordinary things to do extraordinary work. Oil, like oil, is not I don't think oil is a very extraordinary thing, isn't it? We use it every day to cook. Those who are health personnel can tell us the benefit of oil, but not when it's just rubbed on your head. I don't know what the benefits are when you rub. Those of you who work in the hospitals before, I don't know the benefit of oil when it's rubbed on your head. Maybe I need to do more research. But I don't think, right? If it's rubbed on your head, when oil, is there any? Okay, for the spiritual. So I'm only trying to say, what is the benefit of oil being rubbed on my head, to my body? Physically, we cannot find any connection, isn't it? It's difficult to find anything related to what it does. But to the spiritual dimension of it, there are benefits. And to the human mind, to the ordinary human being, it is useless. Very useless. And that is why we refer to oil as ordinary. The same thing in the gospel text of today. Jesus mixed his own saliva in the oil, in the sand, mud, made mud out of it, saliva, mud out of it, and then rub it on the eyes of the blind man. And he told the man, go and wash yourself, then come back. And the man did exactly what Jesus said, and he came back and he could see again. Ordinary things that performs extraordinary actions. Now let's talk about us. Let's put ourselves in this context. As I said, the man today that was born blind had no name. So it's pretty easy for us to begin to see ourselves in that direction. As much as many of us have sight, we can see, we can go to wherever we want to go to. And today we have all kind of medical support that can help us see. Even those who are having eye challenges now, I can bet you a lot of us are putting on the eyeglasses to enable us see better. And to those who have completely lost their sight, technology has made it easy that you have some of these canes you use and you walk, so you don't even fall. So technology has helped us to a greater extent. But even at that, dear brothers and sisters, a lot of us are still blind. You can disagree with me after the mass, okay? But I can tell you that so many of us in this generation, even with our two eyes working, we are blind. And I say this without petting my words. That is just the truth. And our blindness is in the fact that we have forgotten God. That is how blind we are. That even when we see God, we don't even recognize Him. Not just that we are blind, we are also deaf. I know it's difficult it's difficult in the world to find someone who is blind and deaf at the same time. Nature is not that wicked. Right? It's either you are blind or you are deaf. If you are deaf, sometimes it affects your tongue. You may not be able to speak well. But you cannot be blind and deaf at the same time. But permit me to announce to you that we have a generation of human beings that are not just blind on the eyes, but they are also deaf at the same time. That is what we have today. And the point is that we don't even seek God. We don't. That is how funny it is right now. We don't even seek God to help us. So He can open our eyes to see or open our ears to hear. It's terrible, right? It's really terrible. But the good news is this. Jesus is passing through every day of our life. He's passing. We can only pray that He sees us, that He may open our eyes to see Him. We can only pray that He sees us. But another thing is that, in the first reading, God is selecting people. Let us pray that we are part of those that will be selected. Because, as I said in the book of Hebrews, that God does not choose those who are qualified. He chooses those who are not qualified. And when He chooses you, He qualifies you. That is God. He does not choose those who are qualified. So our prayer should be, may I be found worthy by God to be chosen. Because when He chooses you, He is going to make everything that is not correct in you to be correct. But another thing is this. As much as we are blind and deaf, a lot of us, we are not conscious of how God operates. Right? We are not conscious of how God operates. In those days, like the scribes and Pharisees. Mind you, when Jesus healed this man, restored his sight, what happened was that the scribes and the Pharisees began questioning this man. Why? Because Jesus did this miracle on Sabbath day, and that was the only offense Jesus committed. Okay? That is not even my point. But my point is that these scribes and Pharisees have defined God in such a way that God himself has no right to go against the way they have defined him. I don't know whether you understand that point. There is a way people defined you. People define you. They have defined you in such a way that you have no right to change that definition they have defined you. People have given you a name that you yourself have no right to change. This is the same thing we do to God. That we have even given God a name that even God has no right to change that name. That is how funny the human being can be. Such that if the Sabbath day is for God, right? As the scribes and Pharisees said, and so many of us believe, if the Sabbath day is for God, what is wrong with God using his own day? If Monday is your day off, what is my business with the way you use Monday as your off day? But the scribes and Pharisees would dictate for God how God should use his own day. That is how ridiculous it was. And because of this reason, a lot of us now are blindfolded in our position. And then they are expecting, we expect, just like the scribes and Pharisees. Now, the definition they have given to God is that when God is going to come, he's not going to come like a pauper. He's not going to come like Father Jude, who has no money. He's not going to come like Father Jude, who has no Tesla or Lamborghini. He's not going to come like him. Or maybe like you, who have no decent house, who has no mansion, who has no duplex. He's going to come like a star. This NBA star. He's going to come like all of these soccer stars. A king with muscles and six packs. That is the definition of God they have. Such that even if God has come to help them, they will still not see him. What else again? What blindness is more than that? That is how blind they are. And that is how so many of us are. Yes. I said sometimes ago that this church is this empty because probably Father Jude is not a miracle worker. Right? Maybe I have not mastered the act of opening people's eyes, raising the dead, and healing the sick. I come, I lay my hands upon you, and you are healed. My church is empty. But the day they hear that Father Jude is now working miracles and is raising the dead, I bet you here becomes another mortuary. Because a lot of people, you will not even have seats to sit. Because people will look for me now and come to this church because they know I can work miracles. That is how blind we are. So we expect Jesus to come in our own way, such that when he comes quietly, we will never see him. We will not. And that is how bad it is in our own time. And because we will not see him in that manner, we will not know that our problem lies with us. Because what we expect Jesus to do, he will not do because you don't expect him. You will not expect him. Our prayers every day for many Christians for years now is that God, bring that divine person to help me. A lot of us expect the divine help, isn't it? In our problem, a lot of us are diagnosed of cancer, of course. And what we look for is divine help. Divine help. You see? The good news and the bad news is this. The good news is that divine help will always come.